All right, here with Declan Doyle, offensive coordinator for the Ravens. First of all, welcome to Baltimore.
Yeah, thank you.
What excites you most about this Ravens offense? I mean, we're talking about two-time MVP Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry, Zay Flowers, all these offensive weapons. Just what excites you most about putting your own touch on this offense?
Yeah, I think there's a number of offensive weapons here from a personnel standpoint. We're going to continue to try to build that out and put together the best version of that, because obviously there are always going to be pieces through the offseason that you're going to have to kind of address. I think the biggest thing is I'm excited about being here on the ground level with Jesse, a guy who thinks very much like I think, establishing standards, being motivated intrinsically, and holding guys to that. I think that this is obviously a very storied program in the last 18 years with a different regime. But have a ton of respect for what's been done here, the standards that have been set, and yet kind of putting our own spin on that and revitalizing that. And so that really is the biggest thing here with our offense. Obviously, there's a lot to be excited about with the players themselves, but really going through that process with the players. And two of my last 3 years have been the first year of a program. And it is just an unbelievable experience to watch. You set standards, hold guys to that standard, and watch them rise to that. And so that's really what I'm looking forward to.
29 years old, but this is going to be your 11th year coaching. You've been hired twice by Sean Payton, worked with Ben Johnson. Just kind of what can you say about the experience that you've gained over the past decade that has led to this moment and this opportunity for you?
Yeah, I think we're all just a product of our experiences. And so I can't speak highly enough about, both Sean and Ben. I worked for Sean for 5 years in two different places. I've certainly seen him operate at a really high level. And so I took a lot from, what he's done. And, he's a person that's impacted my life in a really positive way. He's pulled me up twice. I was in college and he brought me to the NFL, and then he gave me my first position room in the NFL. And so, I wouldn't be the person or the coach I am without, him impacting my life. And then, Ben is a mentor to me. Ben is somebody that I look up to that, I've spent the last year trying to train myself to think just like him, so that when he left the room, there was somebody in there that thought like him. I can't talk enough about how great that experience was the last year. Being able to be there, with a guy that I see things very similar to. He embodies all of the details and the standards that he set for that group. He was the pace setter. He was the first one in, last one to leave. And that's really what you're looking to emulate when you take a job like this.
Absolutely. Jesse's talked so much about relationship builders and connectors. I'm just curious, when you get and you're in front of the guys, in front of your offensive room, just kind of what does that look like? What's the tone that you are going to set with guys leading a room?
Yeah, I think that it starts as a teacher. So no different than any good teacher, you're shaping the material to the students. You're shaping the material to our players. How do they learn best? When you're up there, obviously you have to have command over what you're teaching and mastery over it. And I do view it as a little bit of a collaboration in that I'm going to install it. I'm going to make sure that I hit all the touch points, and then it's got to be an open dialogue where they feel comfortable, where they can say, "Hey, I didn't understand that," or "I don't get this," or "What do you mean by that?" You got to be able to coach that, talk through it. You go out on the field and you practice it. You hold them to that standard, and then you're able to come in and correct the tape and be able to see things from the same point of view, where I'm not necessarily being hard on you. I'm just holding you to the standard that we agree upon. That is a championship level standard that's going to give us, get us to where our goals are. And so, getting them to understand that first and foremost, their relationship with all their position coaches, they're all going to be expected to hold them to that same standard. And really, it's going to be the difference between, being successful and not.
And last one, just for me, when you talk about the collaboration, obviously you're implementing an entirely new offense. What are you expecting from guys when it comes to the voluntary portion of the offseason before we get to training camp, in order to be able to hit the ground running and have that success that you were hoping to have this season?
Yeah, obviously that's voluntary. However, we want to get as many guys here as we possibly can to be able to start building the relationships. We've talked about our program being built that way with connectors, and the relationships between myself with the position coaches, and start to implement the shared language, the shared vision, the connectedness. I think that is critical in the offseason to be able to start to build this thing the right way. And that way, when we get to training camp, everybody's heard some of these things. We start to master, the concepts and the tasks that we're going to ask them to do, and you're able to build on that into the season.